This video is going to be over the Pythagorean theorem and how to figure out the length of a side using the Pythagorean theorem. Alright, the first couple things that we need to talk about are in the Pythagorean theorem, it is talking about right triangles. Okay, right triangles. So this side is considered a leg, and this side is considered a leg, and then the diagonal line is considered the hypotenuse. Pythagorean theorem states that in a right triangle, the square of one hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the legs, given a right triangle with hypotenuse C and legs A and B. Now, what Pythagorean found out was that, or Pythagoras found out, was that there is an important relationship between the hypotenuse and the two legs. So there is a relationship between this diagonal line and the two legs. And he said that if you add side A, the square of side A and the square of side B, it's going to equal the square of side C. And so that's what we need to use to figure out the length of the hypotenuse. So the formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this is what you need to remember. You don't really need to remember all these words, just remember this formula. Now, when we're figuring out the length of C, look at our picture. We have A is 18 and B is 24. And remember, our formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And so in our steps to follow, it says substitute values in for a and b. So for a, it's 18 squared plus b, which is 24 squared, equals c squared, because we don't know what c is yet. The second step is to go ahead and square those sides, or figure out the math. So we're going to do 18 squared, and go ahead and do this with me on your calculator. So make sure you have your calculator out. If you do not have your calculator out, stop the recording and go get it and then come back. Now remember, on your calculator you can just hit the x squared key, or you can do 18 caret 2 for exponent. If you do that on your calculator, that equals 324 plus 24 squared, which is 576, and that all equals c squared. Step 3 is to add 324 and 576, and that equals 900, equals c squared. Now this just looks like a regular equation. Now remember, when we did simple equations, when we had a multiplication problem like 9a equals 81, this right here means to multiply, so we did the inverse operation of division. The same case is going to happen here. The opposite of a square is a square root. So we're going to take the square root of 900, because that's the opposite. So the square root of 900 which is 30. Now the square root key on your calculator can be found right above the x squared key. And to get that, you're going to have to hit the second key and then the x squared key. And then on your calculator screen, you'll see the square root symbol come up. Alright, let's try the next one. Okay, remember our formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the first thing we're going to do is substitute our values in. So a is 5, so it's 5 squared, plus b is 9 squared, which equals c squared. Remember to follow along with your notes and write everything we write down. The second step is we're going to go and figure this out. So 5 squared is 25, plus 9 squared, which is 81, equals c squared. Then we're going to add 25 and 81. So 25 plus 81, which is 106, equals c squared. The fourth step, remember, we have to take the square root of both sides to get c by itself. So the square root of 106 equals 10.295, which can be rounded to 10.30. Alright, let's solve this one. We have a is 12, so we don't have the steps written down here, so we're going to try to remember them. So step 1 is to substitute the numbers in to the variables. So a is 12 squared plus b is 8 squared equals c squared. And then 12 squared is 144 plus 8 squared, which is 64, equals c squared. Now we're doing 144 plus 64, which is 208. And now we need to do the square root of 208. Okay, so let's take the square root of 208, which equals 14.42. Alright, the next one. The first thing we need to do is substitute our numbers in for our variables. So a squared, which is 15 squared, plus b squared, which is 9 squared, equals c squared. So 15 squared is 225, plus 9 squared is 81. And if we add those together, 225 plus 81, we get 306. And now we need to take the square root. So the square root of 306 equals 17.49. Alright, hopefully this has helped you understand how to use Pythagoreans theorem to find the length of the hypotenuse, which is the side right here. If you have any other questions, make sure that you contact your teacher.